lovely friends, it's Margaret, and it is time to nerd out about superheroes. I'm actually here today to bring you my SuperheroAthon TBR. I had to actually go out and buy a Marvel shirt for this one because all of the prompts are Marvel superheroes, and I felt like maybe I should be wearing a Marvel superhero shirt, so I got my man, Peter Parker. He is probably my favorite character from Marvel Comics, very closely tied with, I think, Wolverine. And then Storm. Storm has been my favorite since I was a kid. I don't know why I was so obsessed with her as a child. I have no idea. I just thought she was cool. Forgive me if I look off to the side. I am actually checking my computer because my phone's there, so I can't use it to hold in front of me because it's recording. SuperheroAthon is being hosted by Bexon Books and G Swizzle Books, and I knew I had to participate because, hey, I am all about the superheroes. You will notice that some of these have are overlap from my March TBR. A lot of my books on my March TBR fit with the challenges for SuperheroAthon, and some of them are books that are going to be going on to my April TBR. I am still waiting for a couple of books on my April TBR, but I wanted to film this one so that you guys knew about SuperheroAthon before it was too late. I figured I would work smarter, not harder. I have been a big fan of that ever since college, which is why when all of my acting teachers wanted me to go see the same 3 plays, I turned in the same 3 papers for every class that required me to see those plays. You know what? It's not plagiarized if you wrote it. The first challenge is Iron Man. Read a book that is an oldie but a goodie. So basically any book that has not been released in 2017 or 2018. I am going with the Grisha trilogy. Technically, I'm only going with Smoke and Bone, but I figure as soon as I read Smoke and Bone, I am going to want to read the next book, and then I'll want to read the next book, and therefore I'm just planning on getting through all of them. That's the big challenge for this readathon. If you watch my March TBR, you know I absolutely love the Six of Crows series and the Grishaverse, and it was fantastic, and I have convinced many people. I've convinced 2 people so far to read it. I don't know if I've convinced any of you guys to read it. It's like could not go any longer without reading more Grisha books. The second one is Captain America. Read a book that represents your country. I don't have one that represents my country. I'm just now realizing this. Oops. Challenge number 3 is Captain Marvel. Read a new release that has grabbed your attention. I will be reading The Bells by Danielle Clayton. It just came out in January or February. I don't know. There was a huge hype about it, and so I am super excited. It sounds like a really, really interesting concept. Basically, like the world is all in shades of gray, and then you have these people called the Bells who are able to bring color and beauty back to the world for people, and so they kind of get congregated, and the main character of this book wants to be the top belle in New Orleans. New Orleans is always a fun place to have things set, so I am very excited about this book. Number 4 is Ant-Man. Read a small book that packs a punch. Basically like a short story, a graphic novel, a novella. I am going to be reading a graphic novel that I assume is going to have a lot of punching in it because it is All-Star Batman, and everyone who knows Bruce Wayne knows that Bruce Wayne likes to punch things. He just does. I have been hearing really good things about this. I believe Selina's in it at some point, so I'm looking forward to that. I always love it when Selina is in Batman comics, or any comics really, because I love seeing Selina. You're gonna see a few DC comics, guys, just because I couldn't do SuperheroAthon without reading a whole bunch of Batman. Just, it can't be done. Sorry. I have no idea what's actually going on in this one. I know it is one of the Rebirth titles, so it's right after the most recent reboot that DC has done, which I am loving so far. Like, it has just done fantastic things. There's so many characters. I'm enjoying it. It's just, I love it. It's so much fun. The next one is Hulk Smash. Read an intimidating book on your TBR. I'm going to have to go with Batman for this one again. And it is going to be Batman Nightfall. This has been on, like, so many of my TBRs because I look at it and I think there is so much story there. Look at that. Like, this thing, like, you could whack someone with it and it would do damage. It is intimidating. I want to read this finally so that I can give it back to my best friend and not feel bad that I've had it for, like, a year at this point, I think. This has been on my TBR for way too long. It needs to get read. I need to just smash through it. Not literally, because it's not my book. The next challenge is number 6, Black Panther. Read a book with a person of color as the main character. I'm tweaking that just a little bit. I'm actually reading a book with a Black author. I'm not entirely sure that the main character of this book is a person of color. It's Promise of Shadows by Justina Ireland. I'm really, really hyped for her book that's coming out. It's called Dread Nation. I really want to read it. I really, really want to read it. It sounds fascinating. It's like the Civil War plus zombies, and I'm just like, wow, that's fantastic. So I wanted to see what her writing style is like. I am assuming, because I know her protagonists are usually Black, I'm assuming the main character is Black, but I might be wrong, so I don't want to... Challenge number 7 is Thor. Read a book that is set on a different world. For that one, I'm going to be reading A Wrinkle in Time by Madeleine L'Engle. Again, another one for, like, all of these have been on so far, except for Batman Nightfall and the two of the Grisha books. All of these have been on my March TBR. This is a middle grade book with fantastic large print. Storm Marie did a fantastic job in this movie, okay? She did a great job. You should go see the movie just because Storm Marie did a good job. But, you know, it's a middle grade book, so it has nice big print. I'll be able to get through it real fast. Hopefully. This book is partly on our world and then partly on a whole bunch of different worlds. Challenge number 8 is Black Widow. Read a book with a kick-ass female character. I don't have this book yet because it has not been released. It's not released until the very end of this month. So hopefully it will be here in time. I'm going to be reading Not If I Save You First by Allie Carter. I have been looking forward to this book for so long, pretty much since I discovered it, and then she's been releasing all of these like single sentence teasers, and I'm just like, this is my kind of book. I think it's a standalone. I'm a little bit disappointed by that. She always writes really, really interesting female characters. They're always like nuanced, but also like really badass. My favorite so far has been her Gallagher Girls series, very quickly followed by her Heist Society series. Challenge number 9 is What Would Stan Lee Do? Read a Marvel comic. If you hadn't already guessed, I'm mostly a DC girl. I used to read Marvel and DC in equal amounts back when I was at my late teens, early 20s, and then they split up Pete and MJ over the course of Civil War, and I was not having that. They had done a couple of other things, like I didn't like how they treated Jean and Scott and like all of that stuff. And y'all know I'm shipping trash. If you permanently mess up my ship, I lose all enjoyment. So I was like, I swore off Marvel until they had fixed things with Pete and MJ. I don't know if they have, but I'm going to give them another chance. I will be reading Peter Parker, The Spectacular Spider-Man Volume 1, Into the Twilight. I figured Spider-Man was a good place to start since Spider-Man and X-Men were mainly what I read. I've read some Avengers, but that's about it. That's about what I've read. And like I said, Peter is one of my favorite characters. I've always enjoyed his humor. I grew up on the animated series that they had in the 90s. A lot of these superheroes I discovered through the animated series that they had in the 90s. Challenge number 10 is The Avengers. Read a book with squad goals. Since the prompt is The Avengers and I'm a rebel just a little bit, I had to go with Justice League. Sorry, not sorry. It's a superhero readathon. I had to read a whole bunch of comic books. You knew I had to. But I'm going to try and get through at least Volume 3 of Justice League Timeless, and then there's Volume 4, Endless. We'll see if I get through that. I have enjoyed their new dynamic that they've got. I'm enjoying some of the new characters. There's a couple of things I think that happened like either Volume 5 or what's going to be Volumes 5 or 6 that I'm just like, it doesn't line up with current Batman. But when you have a whole bunch of different writers over different titles, things are going to fall through the cracks and weird crap will happen. That is my TBR for the SuperheroAthon. I have quite a few books. I am trying to be realistic here, guys. I am trying. My April TBR is probably going to be much shorter than my March TBR. So I'm trying to be realistic here, guys, and like not put as much pressure on myself to finish a lot of books, especially considering how far ahead I am and how many audiobooks I tend to read. Maybe that's how I will meet my Captain America challenge.